What?
Subscribe.
Subscribe. We'll highlight all that. Don't you worry.
I'm just
But of
saying,
course,
you gotta remind people. You want to get
Subscribe right now.
subscribe.
subscribe. Of course.
Philadelphia, baby, you're gonna love it. Best sports fans in the world. Actually, the worst, but that's what makes them the best.
Welcome in, friends, to the Getting the Whole podcast. Steve McAvoy, Ben Pirro here with you today. We're recording on the longest Monday of the PGA Tour calendar. We're coming to you live from the Underground, part of the Underground Sports Philadelphia Podcast Network on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and wherever you can get a hold of your two favorite golf lads, bringing you all the news, analysis, and betting tips from across the golfing world, including the PGA, LPGA, Korn Ferry, and LIVGolf tours. Proudly presented by some of our favorite sponsors, some of the best folks in the industry, including our friends over at Tomahawk Shades. In my opinion, and in most people's opinion, the best small batch eyewear brand in the industry. Founded here on Long Island, where Ben and I reside currently, which has been a great summer so far. The weather's been awesome. Repping the Tomahawk Shades day in and day out, and also rep by some of the biggest personalities in sports, including Chris Hogan, Kyle Harrison, and golf's favorite Paige Sporanic. Tomahawk Shades is guaranteed to keep you looking fresh from the first hole to the 18th green and beyond. And in my case, looking really good at Jones Beach at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, getting a massive tan on. Head to TomahawkShades.com or download the Tomahawk Shades app on the App Store or Google Play Store and browse their selection of sunglasses, blue light plus glasses, and prescription lenses. Be sure to use code USP. I'm horrible. UPS is the postal service. USP for 25% off your next order at Tomahawk Shades or the Tomahawk Shades app. Oh, God, the Chipotle is really hitting them. Once again, folks, I'm your host, Steve McAvoy. Joining me, of course, is Ben Pirro. You can find him on Instagram at BC Pirro. You can find myself on Instagram and Twitter at Real Steve McAvoy. Ben, how you feeling? How's the week been?
Week's been good. Got a tournament coming up tomorrow over the next 3 days, Long Island Open. So looking forward to that. It's at Piping Rock, which it's one of my favorite courses I've ever played. I played it on Tuesday or Wednesday, so I thoroughly enjoyed my practice round. It's a beautiful place, and looking forward to it.
Yeah, should be a awesome event for you. Hopefully I'll be able to take some PTO at some point as you progress on and go and actually see you play this summer. Hopefully, we'll see how things go. But while we wait and see how you do in your time back here on Long Island, today is one of, if not one of the craziest days on the golf calendar. And our friends over at Monday Q Info are currently doing a live stream. Mark Baldwin and Ryan French, as we record here on a Monday, breaking down what's going on across 10 different qualifiers across the United States and Canada to determine the remaining portion of the field for the U.S. Open at Pinehurst. It's, for those of you who don't know anything about what's going on today, essentially the final qualifying 36 holes that's played, whether it be from the crack of dawn or in the afternoon. You're basically running your entire Monday under the hope and playing basically your hardest golf of your life for 36 holes to try and qualify for the U.S. Open. They call it the longest Monday of the year. I know, Ben, you probably experienced this in the past. I know you have. You went through qualifying on Long Island recently. It's a grind, all this stuff. Whether or not it is Q school as you start out or Monday qualifying for something as crazy as the U.S. Open, it's a grind. And a lot of these guys have been busting their asses off. I know Brendan Todd had just qualified. I believe he was down in the Florida ring. I could be wrong. But he said afterwards, he was like, I'm 39 years old, and this was the hardest day of my life. So, well, like a lot of great stuff going on. We'll get to all the news and everything in a hot sec from this past week. But to give you guys a bit of a rundown, we have some live reaction here. As scores are still coming in, we still have 2 events out in Oregon and California that have yet to complete. We're still waiting on a bunch of guys, but Ben, from top to bottom here so far, out in Canada, Mark Hubbard, Adam Svensson, Rico Hoey, Davis Thompson, Grayson Sigg, Aaron Rye, and the amateur Ashton McCullough from Canada, all qualified out in Canada. We've got down in Jupiter, Florida, at the Bears Club, as I had mentioned in the pre-show, Danny Berger, a round 1 leading 65, went to the clubhouse, ate a turkey sandwich, came back, shot a 3 over 73, but still managed to essentially clear the field. He makes it in along with Matt Kuchar and LIV's Dean Burmeister, as well as Willie Mack, the Oh God, what's the tour he's on, Willie Mack?
I don't think he's on KFT anymore. I think he
No,
has like some semblance of a card. The APGA. Yeah.
I always get the APGA messed up with the AJGA, and I know it's juniors, and I know Willie's like 35 years old, so I shouldn't be saying that. But yeah, so a lot of movement going on there in Florida, down in Georgia, and Ben, please jump in with some reaction. A lot of guys who also missed the cut, by the way, that we'll get into. Not a lot of big time names coming out of Georgia, down in Rockville, Maryland, over at Woodmont Country Club. Same kind of thing. Lucas Herbert missing the cut, as well as Kieran Vincent and Sebastian Munoz and Mark Leishman. Like I said, while it's great, a lot of these guys made it. A lot of big names, including those of like Joaquin Niemann, managed to miss out on the U.S. Open, so we're not going to see them. Out in New Jersey, close by to us, Max Greyersman and Andrew Svoboda got in, as well as Jim Herman qualified in on the playoff. Also do have some alternates got in. Chris Gotterup, I believe, made like double bogey on the last and missed, which is an absolute sham for him. Amongst some other folks as well. Brennan Todd made it. Harry Higgs gets in. Frankie Kappen from the University of Florida, big-time name who just turned pro recently. Sam Bennett, you probably remember him from his Masters run. Webb Simpson and Cheston Hadley down in Durham, North Carolina. And then out in Ohio, as we're still closing out some events, we did get news of Justin Lauer, Brendan Todd, and Seamus Power all making it, while Luke List misses out over there along with Hayden Buckley. Ben, any reaction to any guys who have made it so far, guys who are currently fighting their way out in California and Oregon, names who missed the cut that stand out to you?
Yeah, I mean, so it's interesting because there are certain sites every single year that have a lot of tour players, and so those are the ones that have more spots than others. And so generally, because we just had an event up in Canada, so that would make sense that they'd have more spots there. A lot of tour pros are there. Generally, wherever you see more tour pros, that's where they have more spots available. Mm-hmm. So that's why when you look, my page would load. Here we go. That's why you'd have the Bears Club, right? The Bears Club, for example, the scoring there, it's 5. So currently there's 3 guys tied for 5th. So basically it's going to be a 3-for-1 playoff, depending on who gets through there. And then from there, but you also have guys who competed up in, like we said, Canada, at Cherry Hill Club. And from there, it's 66 players for 7 spots. So Rico Oy, who played, I believe he's won a Korn Ferry event before. Adam Svensson, who's really good. Obviously, Mark Hubbard at Homeless Hubs got screwed over in the that Mickey Mouse win by what's his name?
Wyndham Clark.
Wyndham Clark. Yep, exactly. Grayson Sigg is a really good player. I actually have a couple of mutual friends with Grayson, so that's kind of funny. And then, it's interesting to see like some of these guys who are really good tour players who play at a high level, like Bud Cauley, Sam Ryder, guys who just missed out. Keith Mitchell missed out by 1. Matt Wallace missed out by 1. Stuart Sink, it's pretty incredible that he's still playing as well as he is, given how long he's been playing. He just missed out at 4 under, had to shoot 8. So it's very interesting to see, how these guys who we always see on TV and who have played for at a high level for a long time, how they just how they just have to go through the longest Monday of the year, which is 36 holes in one day. It's not easy. I used to have to do it for U.S. amateur qualifying. I used to have to do it for U.S. junior amateur qualifying, and then of course, right after I lost my eligibility to be a junior because I turned 19, they made it into an 18-hole qualifier, and then I saw guys qualifying, and I was like, these guys suck. I cannot believe that they're actually like doing this as 18 holes. Like, give me a break. But it's one of the oldest traditions in the game of golf. You know, it's called the longest Monday of the year for a reason. Obviously, there are 3 other qualifiers. There are 36 holes in one day that don't take place on this specific Monday. Those one happens in Japan, one happens in England, and then we did have one in Dallas, Texas. So I did want to see. I know at Ohio State they played the Scarlet course, which they play. I don't know if they still played on Korn Ferry, but they definitely used to. And before COVID hit, we were supposed to actually play Ohio State's event there. I know Ian Holt's a really good player, played on Korn Ferry. He missed out by a couple. Bo Van Pelt, guy had been on tour forever, missed out by 3. But shout out to Justin Lower, Seamus Power, Brendan Todd. Gunnar Broen is an AM, getting in at 9 under.
Impressive.
Chris Nagel. I mean, it's really impressive. And then guys who have competed against on the mini tours like Bo Brialt shot 2 under at that course, which is still a good round. Kevin Tway, who I believe is Bob Tway's son, I believe, maybe grandson. Can't quite remember. But another guy is playing at a very high level. I think. Oh, okay. Wes Homan, he went to Xavier for a year, so he played in that as well. So I think he has a Korn Ferry card this year as well. So it's good to see these guys playing, and it's they don't get paid to do this. They don't get paid. You don't get paid to go to qualifiers just because you win. That you win, which is great. You get to advance, but you don't really get anything. Exactly. I still think the USGA does a silver medal though if you win one of their qualifiers. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, it's a tradition unlike any other in the game of golf.
Wow, only stealing it from the true greatest tradition in golf. No, it's it's a complete grind, and while the reward is no money, the reward is you get to go and play in what many consider the hardest of the majors to win, and also the hardest ones to qualify for this very reason. And like we said, ton of different names that ended up actually missing the cut. And like it's one thing to make it. You're playing 70-man fields for 3, 4, 5, maybe 6 slots. But again, there's guys, Hayden Buckley, Luke List, playing out in Ohio State, out in Springfield in Ohio. Like Bo Hostler made it at 8 under the card, but Troy Merritt missing it at 6 under, Austin Greaser at 5 under. Like the list goes on. And again, Joaquin Niemann missing the cut. Most live guys have to qualify now for the U.S. Open through something like this. Daniel Berger makes it, Matt Kuchar makes it, but Anirban Lahiri, again, another live guy, misses the cut there. Joaquin Niemann misses. Patrick Rogers, Cameron Tringale, another live guy. Actually, Adam Scott just got news. Birdie on the 18 to lock in the U.S. Open. Adam Scott will not miss his first major in like 19 years. There was so much concern that he was going to, and I'm like, oh my God, what a stud. Absolutely amazing. Like you said, out in Canada, 66 players for 7 spots. Ton of players waited out there while Ryan, Thompson, Spencer, and Hubbard made it. Keith Mitchell misses out. Matt Wallace, Benjamin Griffin, Bud Cauley, your boy Sam Ryder, Doug Gim, Martin Laird, Hayden Springer, Stuart Sink. Like the list goes on and on and on. Pearson Cootie, who was awesome this past week at Colonial. Chad Ramey, Joe Highsmith from Pepperdine. God, so many names on this list. Harrison Endicott, Justin Suh, Martin Trainer, Ches Reavy, Maverick McNeely withdrew in the second round. Davis Riley, Charlie Hoffman. The list goes on, and just crazy how we can only follow along with this so much as we look ahead to who else is currently waiting out. We do have 2 more events out in Bend, Oregon, Pronghorn Resort, as well as Lake Merced out in California. David Pui from Live locks in his way through. He's only through 13 holes, but he's already 2 clear of the entire field at 11 under par. He will most likely lock himself in for a spot amongst the 84-man field. Within that group, Ben Pollan looking to make his way in, as well as Preston Summerhays. A lot of big-time amateurs coming out of the California run. And then out in Oregon. Looks like we're kind of closing in. A lot of the guys, the 3 currently in are 4 clear of the entire field, so it's going to take a lot for a lot of these guys to get back into it. Colin Prater, amateur from Colorado, Trevor Simsby, and Joe Vrijic should make their way in out in Oregon. So that's how we're looking at right now. We'll update you more later on in the show if we do get any more updates. But the Longest Monday is still in effect, even though it is 8:18 here on the East Coast. We're still grinding away. With that being said, I want to jump into the news of this week, and we start off with one of my favorite players on the DP World Tour, PGA Tour, who does not get nearly enough love. There are not many lefties that you can rattle off. You probably rattle off every lefty on one hand. I would say that's like a notable lefty on tour. Obviously, there's Phil, there's Brian Harmon, and then kind of the forgotten soul is Bobby MacIntyre, who
Mike Weir. Mike Weir's another one.
Well, Mike Weir's old now. I'm saying
Cody Gribble. He's another one. Cody Gribble. You
did
don't
not know
even know who
lefty.
that is. Exactly. You don't even know who that is.
No, I know who he is. I didn't know he was a lefty.
Yeah, oh yeah, he's a lefty. Went to UT, played with Spieth. Yeah, they were teammates.
2 very different careers.
Hey, he played on tour. Have some respect.
Look, he's doing far fucking better than I am. Actually, I lied to you. Adam Scott made birdie on 18. He's actually in a playoff against Cam Davis, the Australian playoff, to get in to the U.S. Open. I would honestly, what I would do right now to pull up that live stream and just watch it would be absolutely electric. That would be incredible. So yeah, Bobby Mack, Robert MacIntyre wins the RBC Canadian Open. Incredible fashion, played terrific, inspiring golf. Again, one of those guys, like, I compare him to like Christian Bezaden, who like 2 guys who are really good at golf but don't get nearly enough love because they're not the flashy name that everyone sees every single week on the board. Again, this is his first win in his 45th career PGA Tour start. He plays much more often on the DP World Tour than he does in America. Same thing with Bezadenhout. His first win at 27 years old. Really cool story, actually. His caddy was unable to make it, so he was figuring out who he can get as a one-off caddy for Sunday. He managed to get his dad to fly out, got his dad on the bag, won his first event. Dad's crying, he's crying. His dad's like, I'm literally a grass cutter. Like, I shouldn't be here, and they're embracing, they're hugging, they're loving each other. Actually, Bobby Mack withdrew this week from the Memorial, even though he played his way into it, because he said, I'm going to get too drunk in the post round interview. So congrats to Bobby. A really good week for the Scots. First player to win a PGA Tour event from Scotland since.
Oh boy. Oh, this is a tough one. Oh man.
There are not many Scots who have won, surprisingly enough.
I know. Oh gosh. Okay. Don't. Wait a minute. Don't tell me.
You're really good with your history, so
Is Martin Laird from Scotland?
Martin Laird is from Scotland.
Oh, it's him?
It was Martin Laird.
Mom, I'm a genius.
Mama, he's done good. I can't even tell you when Martin Laird won that event. I'm pretty sure it was like 2020 he might have won.
Yeah, he won like a fall event, I think.
Yeah, 2020, the Shriners. He won in a playoff against Austin Cook and Matthew Wolff before Matthew Wolff jumped to the dark side.
Yeah. So, look, Robert MacIntyre played great this week. And you were actually, I think you were onto him way earlier than I was. You were talking him up, I believe it was either last year or the year before. And I really was not familiar with him. And then you told me who he was, and I looked at his game, and I was like, this guy definitely has the game to compete at the highest level and to win at the highest level. And, you look at his stats, he didn't blow anybody away with his ball striking this week. I mean, strokes gained off the tee, he was 28th, and strokes gained approach to the green, he was 39th. So, I mean, that's good, but not something that you'd think would lead to a winning formula. But when you're 8th in strokes gained around the green, and when you're 1st in strokes gained putting, that's incredible. That's really how you golf your ball. He drove it accurately enough, finishing tied for 14th in fairways hit at 62.5%. And he drove it relatively long, finishing 13th in the field and driving distance at 312 yards, which is a little bit surprising because he doesn't really look like much of a power player. He looks like he's much more placement, ball control, really good around the greens, which he clearly is. I mean, because he blew everybody away with putting and was really good with his strokes gained around the green. Scrambling, he was tied for 12th. When you're second in feet of putts made, that is pretty incredible. And so, look, I mean, he did what he was supposed to do, and he finished tied for second in birdies for the week, tied for sixth in bogeys at only 7, which that's how you play good golf, you know. And so hats off to him. It was a very emotional win, and you know, he says he struggles with I believe it's seasonal depression, and that's understandable because you know he's from Scotland and he's a long way away from home, you know,
Yeah.
and that's, you know, I know how that feels, you know, not to that extent, obviously, but for him, I mean, that's a tough thing to do. And to go to a place where you're not really familiar with your surroundings, you don't really have, you know, like a tight knit, like social circle when you start out. That's a huge adjustment. I think he's done a fantastic job. And, you know, I think it'd be very interesting to see where the odds are for him the rest of the year in the upcoming majors. So it'll be very interesting.
He had a great quote. This is back when he had said that he was kind of getting a bit of a seasonal depression with playing on the PGA Tour. Again, like I had said, plays more events on the European side, likes to be closer to home, likes to be with his family. He's very much he's a 27-year-old kid. He wants to enjoy his time with his family when he can. And he doesn't have anybody over here in the States. He had a great quote after he had won. He was like, you know, like Metabellianis goes, you know, like you played your way into the Memorial next week. You played your way into the U.S. Open the following week. You played your way into the Travelers the next week. Like we're hitting the end point of that like peak golf season that we always talk about in the show. And his first thing was, look, I'm taking the week off. I'm not playing the Memorial. I'm going to go home. I'm going to go to Scotland, me and my girlfriend, and my dad, and just relax for the week. And like cloud 9, where most guys would be gnawing at the bit to go play at Jack's place, he's just taking it in stride. He wants to do his thing. 45 starts in his 5-year career on the PGA Tour. He's only averaging about 7 stops per year. Most of them are majors if he even qualifies for them. So good on him to be able to take a step back and remove golf from life, which if you remember from last week, I mean, it's for some people, it's very challenging to do that. So to be able to have that understanding for himself is huge. Speaking on the golf, I mean, I've loved Bobby Mack for a long time. He doesn't necessarily do anything incredibly well. He does everything good, which honestly it's good for coming in 20th. It's tough to win events, but his putting is really the name of the game. Again, finished first strokes gained putting for the entirety of the week. Best in strokes gained total. He was terrific off the tee and tee to green in rounds 2 and 3 to get him to where he needed to be on Sunday. And again, top 5, top 10 in every category that wasn't off the tee. Don't need to hit it a country mile, but you can most certainly do a pretty damn good job when you're able to play as strong as you can against a pretty solid field. Victor Perez, Ben Griffin, Rory, and Tom Kim chasing your tail. Corey Connors was also fantastic. We'll talk more about him upcoming, but a really strong win at also a event that I was thinking about this, and I didn't put it in the show notes, so bear with me here. I had this thought the other day that we talk about how the PGA Tour manages to line up a major followed by a signature event, and it happened again this year. It's going to happen again in 2 weeks with the U.S. Open and the Travelers. Actually, 3 straight signature events, all in lockstep over the next 3 weeks. But they had the RBC Heritage followed up just behind Augusta, and I had this thought. I think it's a fascinating one at that. A National Open in Canada versus the RBC Heritage, the only 2 events that are sponsored by the World Bank Canada. In my opinion, they should make the RBC Canadian Open a signature event. With the exception, of course, that there's a ton more qualifiers from Canada who are playing. They should be allowed in. but it's a national open for a reason, and there's a lot of pride being taken by a lot of those people out in Canada. They don't get the opportunity to play, to have an event to have multiple events in a year. You're not going to Canada to play in Toronto and Quebec and Ottawa, wherever it is. They thrive around hockey. They treat this place like a party. This place sold the second most beer out of any PGA Tour event this year behind the Waste Management. That's when you freaking know these people want a ball. They should make the RBC Canadian Open a signature event instead of the Heritage, because honestly, the Heritage, everyone's trying to take a step off after a ridiculously loaded week at Augusta. You go to this beachside town, it's laid back, the plaid jackets, whatever. It's not the same event in my opinion. It's a great golf course, so I'm not going to discredit Tom Fazio for what he built there, but I do honestly think that the Canadian Open needs more credit and needs more eyes on it, and therefore a signature event of the one of two RBC events I think makes a lot of sense.
No, I mean, I completely agree with that. I never really understood why the RBC Heritage why they designated that as a signature event. In my opinion, I feel like based on the setup of the golf course alone, that's probably one of the top 5 least favorite courses on tour to play. It's a very good golf course and it takes a lot of creativity, but for me, I know I'm probably not supposed to say this, that course is like my worst nightmare. It is. It's anyone who bombs it, it's really like a funky narrow track. And I don't know, I've never really heard anybody say that they're looking forward to going to Hilton Head to play that event. You know, I think it's great that they still have it. It's been there for a long time. And I'm sure it'll continue to be there for a long time. But at the end of the day, I mean, that course, there's not nearly as much history at that event compared to the Canadian Open. There just isn't. And some amazing names, some of the greatest shots in golf have been hit there. I know, I believe Mike Weir won his first ever PGA Tour event there in Canada, where he's from. Tiger hit that amazing shot at I don't remember the course. It might have been Glen Abbey in 2000. He hit like a 6-iron up and over trees, over water to a right pin. And they said it was the greatest shot he ever hit. And he's like, no, it's not, because I actually missed the green because he was on the fringe like 15 feet away. I mean, it was an insane shot. There's so much history with that event, and it's almost as old as the U.S. Open, I believe. It's over 100 years old. I'm sure of that. So I 100% agree. And I look, you and I think we're on the same page with how they shouldn't have a signature event right after a major. They shouldn't.
No.
Unfortunately, that's kind of how, the Travelers, it is one of the bigger events on tour for sure. And so the Travelers is always after the US Open as well. So, but at the end of the day, I agree with you 100%.
To answer your question, the RBC Canadian Open has been played every year since 1904.
Yeah, well, 100 years.
It is, I believe, the 10th oldest event on the PGA Tour calendar, I'm pretty sure. 10th oldest in the world. Mm-hmm. I think it's easily top 5 on the calendar. I believe it's as old or almost as old. Well, it's as old as the US Open. It's barely as old, I think, as the PGA Championship, and it's older than the Masters. So, to give you an idea of how historic it actually is, it makes complete sense for me. By the way, Adam Scott nails the green in 2. Cam Davis taking a shot. We'll see what happens. Adam Scott, can you believe this? Like I said, he's played in every major. I lied to you. I said 19 years. He's played in every single major since 2001.
That's insane.
23 years of Adam Scott playing incredible golf, wearing weird shades of brown at major championships. I absolutely love it. Before we take a short break, I want to get your take on this. What's the better storyline from this past week? Is it Charley Hull's awesome display of smoking cigs on the course, or CT Pan's fill-in caddy for 2 holes on Sunday.
Okay, look, I did not. I heard about CT Pan's filling caddy. I did not. Was that what is it? Like, what's I? Because I know. I think did Fluff get sick?
So on 16, and actually this segues really well into what we're going to talk about on the other side of the break. Fluff fell down in the wet conditions on Sunday, and he couldn't continue to caddy. So CT Pan, so Shane Lowry was carrying his own bag, and CT Pan bought on Lowry's caddy to walk. What ended up happening was the caddy for Shane Lowry, it was Paul Emerson, points to a fan in the crowd, aptly wearing the Augusta National t-shirt, and says, "Hey, can you carry the bag for 2 holes?" Because, like, why should Shane have to bear his own weight? So this guy throws the bib on, Fluff's being attended to in the medic tent, and this guy's carrying CT Pan's bag. First hole, birdie putt, nails it. Don't know if he gave the read in any way, but on the broadcast, you see CT Pan nail the putt, and Shane's caddy goes, "Pretty damn good for your first PGA Tour hole." And then he drops the putter cover in the water, and they go, "Oh, this first bogey of the day."
Oh my gosh,
It's adorable. But did you see Charley Holdo smoking dogs?
I did. Now that I saw, that was all over. Yeah.
Now, did you hear her quote?
No.
They asked Charley that they go, "Why all of a sudden smoking cigarettes?" She goes, "It's going to help me stop vaping."
Okay, that's interesting. It's interesting logic there, Charley. Okay.
It's typically the opposite. I think Charley Hull is amazing. I think she's hilarious. But just I don't know what's better. First of all, to get the opportunity to caddy for anybody is absolutely sick. I've contested for you multiple times to try and be your caddy, but
you're never gonna caddy for me. I'm sorry, and I don't mean to be rude.
No avail.
And you're not gonna caddy for me, Steven. I'm sorry.
So my biggest goal then is to be this guy who manages to caddy for 2 holes for CT Pan. That's my my story of the week. But it's great the LPGA Tour finally has their own version of John Daly. Except Charley Hull isn't drinking 30 DCs in the round.
No, that's very true. I mean, look, both are. You hate to like Fluff has been around for a long time, and I'm not sure if you know this. I mean, he's been around since Tiger got on tour, and I'm sure he was around prior to that as well. He started out on Tiger's bag, I believe. Then he went over to Furyk, and I believe he and Furyk have since split. I mean, he has to be in his 70s, so the fact that he took a spill, obviously, I hope he's okay because he is. He's honestly one of the more. He's a very likable guy from everything that I've heard. So obviously, I hope that he's back inside the ropes in no time. That it's nothing serious. Both very interesting stories, though, for sure. We have seen some guys who have to pull someone out of the crowd to caddy for them. Zach Johnson had to do that when he had Damon Green in the bag because Damon got sick. We've seen caddies actually get fired to the point where the boyfriend of an LPGA player, I remember, had to go caddy for. I don't remember who it was, but in the U.S. Women's Open, I believe it's Sabonik. The LPGA player fired her caddy, and the boyfriend had to carry the bag for the rest of the tournament, I believe. So it was pretty interesting. And you do see guys like on Korn Ferry Tour. Sometimes their moms will caddy for them. Sometimes their wives or girlfriends will caddy for them. So it's always funny to see a little bit of a shakeup with that. So. But obviously, we both hope that Fluff is okay because that is kind of scary.
Fluff is good. He is in fact fine. 76 years old. First ever caddied in 1974 for Ed Sabo.
Wow.
Then moved to Paul Jacobson, then for Tiger, and then Furyk for the last 35 years. They split up this year in 2024, and CT has taken on the reins. Pan also ran through, I think, three or four caddies for the week, which is actually great. All right, Adam Scott holes out. And Cam Davis did the exact same.
Wow.
Second hole playoff in Springfield. Holy shit. We're going to take a short break. On the other side, we're going to talk about the reason why Fluff went down and why spikeless golf cleats are complete bullshit. We're here in the underground. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Get in the Hole is brought to you by PHI Apparel Company, our incredible merch partners. PHI Apparel Co. provides unique designs and high-quality clothing from t-shirts to hoodies for every golfer around. With their original designs for all, there's no doubt you'll stand out on the course, the driving range, or at the 19th hole. Go to phiapparel.co and use code UNDERGROUND at checkout for 10% off any order. That's code UNDERGROUND at phiapparel.co and grab exclusive Get in the Hole podcast merch and support your favorite golfers.
Welcome back into the underground. Here, Steve McAvoy, Ben Pirro, joining you as always here for another great week on the PGA Tour as we review the Memorial Tournament. But before we get into that, we want to shout out our sponsors over at Acorn Hills, bringing you stylish apparel for on and off the golf course, all using biodegradable packaging and plantable clothing tags. Acorn Hills is changing clothes through conservation. Use code GITH15 for 15% off your next order at acornhillsco.com. And look your best from the ground up this summer and sprout like a flower. Sprout like a flower with Acorn Hills. So, hi.
Oh, so I just want to let you know, during break, I asked my mom how I was doing because she's home right now, and she said I'm doing a great job. So I just want you to know how lucky you are to have me by your side.
Hi, Mom.
She can't hear you, but Steven says hi, Mom.
Bring her on stream. Tell her to say hello. My mom's already podcast famous. You might as well bring her on.
Yeah. Yes. My mom says congratulations on soon getting married.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Anyway, back to the show.
Crazy how I'm getting married in less than 6 months.
That poor lady.
In 6 months, Ben Pirro is going to grace the dance floor, and I will get a video of him twerking.
I still haven't gotten my wedding invite, so I'm just waiting on it.
Well, invites get sent out about 3 months before the wedding.
Okay. All right. Because Johnny and I were talking about it. Also, by the way, Johnny and I had a chipping contest, and I beat him a combined 33 to 3 points. So it was really funny.
I'm still waiting for the afternoon that we get to go out to Long Island National. We got to get that in the works.
He is the worst at planning. He looked.
Are you surprised that kid shows up late to his own funeral?
Dude, he literally. Yesterday I said, I was like, because he works at the same course that I'm a member at, and he goes, hey, I said, hey guys, I'm gonna go out and play. He goes, all right, I'd play with you, but, and I just looked at him and I was like, John, when I say this nicely. I didn't ask you to play with me. And he goes, well, yeah, I know, but we're trying to do something and put some stuff together. And then we ended up having the chipping contest. By the way, I believe he ended up having to work anyway, so he technically wasn't even supposed to play anyway. And then he goes up to me, wants to do a chipping contest. I beat the pants off of this kid. And then he's like, hey, do you want to he's like, dude, do you want to go have a couple drinks? I was like, dude, I have to compete this week. I don't know what kind of life you think I live, but I cannot go out and drink right now. There's absolutely no shot. No chance. Love that kid to death, though. Love him.
By the way, while all of this is going down between Adam Scott and Cameron Davis, missing the cut at Springfield by a wide margin. He shot even par over all 36 holes. St. Petersburg's very own Bo Titsworth.
Okay.
That guy probably belongs on a OnlyFans page soon enough. So Fluff fell down walking up the par 4 16th at Hamilton, and you could very well complain that it was the Spikeless golf shoes that were the root cause. Ben, you reached out to me earlier in the week. You're like, need to talk about this. What's the deal with your Spikeless golf shoe fiasco and why they suck?
Okay, well, here's the deal. All right. So as we all know, I had a pretty serious ankle injury, and so whenever you have a serious injury like that, you tend to have some residual effects. So I've had it in the Achilles, the foot, stuff like that. And so because as a professional golfer, you walk everywhere, you're walking roughly 7 miles per round. You need to have comfortable shoes. And the most comfortable shoes I had ever worn in my life were the TW20s from Nike. They were Tiger shoe, the one with the TW on the bottom when you finish your swing on the bottom of the spikes. And they discontinued them for obvious reasons because Tiger is no longer with Nike. And so I had to find a new shoe to wear. And unfortunately, I went to PGA Tour Superstore, and anything that was comfortable did not have spikes. And anything that had spikes was completely uncomfortable. I mean, it was absolutely insane. And so, look, way back in the day, players used to have metal spikes. Those have since been banned, I believe. I think some guys still wear them on tour, though. I think that's still a thing. But the normal golf course, like if you play, like the event that I'm playing the next 3 days, the Long Island Open, you cannot wear metal spikes. That is not allowed. Mm-hmm. And so in the past couple of years, I've actually heard that there's been talk about just completely getting rid of spikes in general, which I think is just the absolute dumbest thing ever. Because yes, probably walking around in like a sneaker type shoe is good. It probably feels better than anything you could wear. Have fun playing when it's wet out or when there's dew on the ground, or if it starts raining, because just so we're clear, those sneaker type shoes are not waterproof. Yeah. So you better have a lot of pairs. And so fortunately for me, I just went on eBay and I ended up finding those TW20s and I bought 2 pairs. So we're fine there. That'll last me another 6 months. But this whole idea, I feel like golf companies now, they're going towards just the overall look of the shoe and swag rather than just functionality. And this whole idea that why can't all these companies, they create these sneaker looking shoes, just throw a pair of spikes on them, exactly. And then maybe try to develop one that is somewhat, waterproof down the line. But this whole idea that I keep hearing that soon spikes are going to be outlawed completely, I think is completely ridiculous. I mean, if you play any type of sport, there's a reason why guys in the NFL have spikes on their cleats. There's a reason why guys who play in Major League Baseball have spikes in their cleats. It's you need something to grip the ground, and you're going to have guys slipping everywhere. And that's something that I personally struggle with, that my back foot tends to slip out from under me at times. And someone who has a little bit of an injury history in their right leg with an ACL and now a torn AITFO ligament, high ankle sprain. That's incredible. That to me, that's just whatever the opposite of music to your ears is. That's what it is. It's the complete opposite of that.
Nails on the board.
What?
Yeah, it's like nails on the chalkboard. No, I totally understand what you mean, and while I do think that like golf has gotten better, where like yes, they do have, let's just say, like the Air Jordan 1s, right? Like you can buy Jordan 1 lows. Pretty sure those are all spikeless. I actually had a pair of FootJoys, the Packard series, and honestly, they looked really nice. Those were so uncomfy and so narrow on my feet.
They're awful.
I hated them. I'm like, I don't know how Max Homa walks around in these golf shoes all day long. I have a pair of spikeless Pumas, which aren't bad. They actually have more traction than you would think. But honestly, I'm probably gonna end up getting. I'm probably gonna go buy the spikes. I used to wear the FootJoy Traditions, which were really comfy. Those were great because they had the patent leather. It wasn't like the rough like leather like you see on a lot of the premium FootJoy or like G4 brands. You should actually look at Echo. I hear that
They don't have any spikes, do they?
Some of them do. I know like a bunch of tour pros do wear them, and I've heard really good things about them. They're apparently the most like comfortable shoes, and like one of their co-founders or like one of their like lead tech guys when they were creating it was for couples, and it was made originally for older players that had like grueling like bad legs. So it might be worth looking into. Again, a lot of them, the spike is kind of going out of style, unfortunately, which is a really it's a bad angle. It's a bad angle of approach to take. And if it happens to be that a lot of these brands, like the FootJoys, Nike, is shading away from spikes, you're not going to have a very large selection. And again, like if they're already putting out Jordans with spikes, if they're already putting out Jordans, or like I've seen them online, like they have like flip flops that like put like with spikes on them. It's not very hard to just insert a spike onto a shoe. Or again, if you're going to have those spikeless shoes, they need to have more grip or traction on the bottom, not just like a flat sole. Just that doesn't help out anybody. But no, I agree with you. I do think that they're looking for swag rather than actual functionality, and that's kind of the most premium part of the sport. Actually, the recent new Nikes that just came out, and I know Tommy Fleetwood's been wearing them. The free golf shoes from Nike, those are like basically a running shoe with a spike on it. I've heard those are actually really comfortable. So I'm gonna have to test some things out and see what the deal is. But I know in store you can't find spikes. I know online you probably could. What'd you buy your Tigers for? Like 200 a pair?
It was like it came out to like roughly 300 for both pairs. It really wasn't that expensive.
That actually not bad.
And they're not even used at all.
Really?
Brand new. Oh, yeah, you think I'm gonna buy used golf shoes? Please. That's gross.
You know who actually owns those same Tiger shoes?
You? Oh, well, yeah, I'm sure they have plenty of them for Scotty because he's #1 player in the world. And did you see all those charges are getting dropped?
Yeah,
they have been dropped.
My God, that fiasco from the Louisville Police Department is an absolute fucking sham. Those guys are idiots. Quickly before we jump into our beer money picks for the week, a little preview on the Memorial Tournament, some ins and outs going on this week as Adam Scott goes into a third playoff hole with Cam Davis. They're going to play. Like the sun's going down at this point. It's already dark here. Can only imagine what it is an hour away in Ohio. They are really getting into the weeds on that one. So this week for the Memorial, Davis Thompson replaces Bob McIntyre in the field. Davis Riley, Ben Griffin, Chris Goddard, and Victor Perez all get in due to the Aeon Swing 5. Alex Noren receives the last of 4 sponsor exemptions to get in to the field this week, as well as the next 10 who qualified: Ludwig Oberg, Shane Lowry, Matthew Pavon, Justin Thomas, Steven Yeager, Thomas Detry, Will Zalatoris, Akshay Bhatia, Christian Bezadenhout, or favorite golfer, and Taylor Pendrith into the field this week. No other movement. Same straight-up golf course as we usually see out at Murrayfield Village in Ohio. Nothing has changed, although despite Jack wanting to move that course back 400 yards, has not changed much since last year. Let's get right into the beer money picks as we wrap up the show, as we always do. Presented by our friends over at Kenwood Beer. It's great because the Sixers aren't playing, the Flyers aren't playing. There's no box lacrosse anymore.
While the Rangers aren't playing anymore.
I fucking hate you. Grueling. While I'm happy that you cannot watch any good Philadelphia sports at the Wells Fargo Center, I am sad that you can't buy Kenwood Beer from there. Anyways, Kenny's the routine choice of folks who want a balanced, flavorful, no-frills beer that's right for any occasion at only 120 calories and 8 grams of carbs. Some call it the best light beer they've ever had. We just say you can't beat the original. Head to kenwoodbeer.com and use the Kenny Tracker to find where you can get your hands on some ice-cold, refreshing Kenny's from your favorite liquor stores in the Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Maryland areas, as well as the Wells Fargo Center and beyond. must be 21 years or older to do so. And of course, please drink responsibly. For those of you gambling with us, also be sure to gamble in states where gambling is legal. Top 20 pick at the Memorial. Who are we going with? You're down 3 still. Can you make
Yeah,
it?
I know. I'm down 3. Not for long. I'm not concerned at all. You know, I'm a winner, and all I do is win. What's that?
I piss excellence.
I wasn't gonna say that. You said it for me, Steven. Thank you. And my mom's laughing at me in the other room. But I am determined I'm determined to win this bet, so I do not have to wear a dress on the golf course for 18 holes. Anyway, top 20. Oh gosh, this is such a loaded field. So I feel like with the first couple of picks, you can't really go wrong with anything, especially guys who've had a decent amount of success on this golf course. I'm going to go with someone who kind of flies under the radar still to this day, Harris English, for my top 20 finish.
Ben, I have bad news for you. You're down 3, but I'm confident that this might be the first ever perfect slate.
Don't really care.
I'm confident that I'm going to go a perfect 5 for 5. And it starts with a top 20 pick of Corey Connors, absolutely ripping the cover off of the golf ball over the last 3 weeks. Finished top 6 at the Canadian Open. So close to a top 5. Would have cashed in my bet there. He's second ranked right now in strokes gained approach. He's 5th in strokes gained ball striking, and he's 22nd in good drive percentage, which are all metrics that fly so well at Jack's Place. He has great history at Murrayfield Village. His best finish came at T13 in 2022, finished T22 in 2020. Again, the putter is usually the biggest weakness, but he's been on fire as of late, so I like Corey Connors for top 20. Top 10.
I'm going to go with someone who's very consistent for my top 10 finish. I'm going to go with Sanjay M.
I am...
Top 10.
Top 10.
Okay, yeah, top 10.
I'm getting a little controversial. My top 10 and top 5s. It's two Titleist guys who have not necessarily shown us the absolute most inspiring golf of the year, but I'm confident that the course fit and the fact that they love playing at this golf course both show that they have a good shot to win. I'm going to go with Max Homa for a top 10 here at Jack's Place. Back-to-back top 5 finishes when he has played here in the last 2 years. I think Homa, this is a good get-right week. Going to the U.S. Open, going to the Travelers, and finish the peak on a high note. Top 5.
All right, top 5. This is a tough one for me. I'm going to go with someone. Look, Jack was known for hitting a fade off the tee. And I believe that this course most likely fits guys who can fade the ball. It's one of the reasons why John Rahm, before he jumped to LIV, had such great success here. That's one of the reasons why Tiger had such great success here as well, because they're very good faders of the ball. I'm going to go with someone who can really curve it from left to right. I'm going to go with Wyndham Clark for my top 5 finish.
Woo! I'm going to go with Justin Thomas for a top 5 finito. For some reason, despite his bad golf over the last 18 months, he has still managed to finish top 10 every single time he has stepped foot on this golf course, including 3 top 5s. So I love the top 5 play in JT. Your gimme pick here at the Memorial.
Oh, this is going to be a tough one, but you know what? I'm going to be pretty maybe a little bit bold here. I'm going to go with Matt Fitzpatrick to finish top 10.
I'm going to be a little less bold, and I'm going to go on not necessarily a side of caution, but it's almost a lock in and of itself. Ben On has been so good over the last 6 weeks. Top 20 for Ben On is a smash hit in his debut at Jack's Place. Your winner at the Memorial.
Okay, look, I'm sure conventional wisdom would say you should pick Scotty Scheffler, especially because he's at plus 360 odds to win. Given that I care about our viewers and giving them value, and also given the fact that he's kind of had a long couple weeks. He really has the PGA Championship, obviously, and then you could tell the passing of Grayson Murray Obviously, it was very heavy on all players out there, Scotty Scheffler in particular. So he's had a long couple weeks. I'm going to kind of stay away from that. I think he just needs time to kind of regroup and just get ready for the U.S. Open. That being said, I'm going to go with Viktor Hovland to win this week. He's going to this is my prediction, okay? And this is kind of coming a little bit out of left field. Viktor Hovland is going to light up the tour again this kind of second half of the season, and then he's going to jump to LIV because he has been linked to LIV for several years now, and I fully believe this guy is betting on himself. I truly believe that, and I think it starts right now at Jack's tournament.
You know who won last year at Jack's place?
Who?
Viktor Hovland.
I'm a genius, see?
My pick to win this week is going to reclaim himself as one of the top golfers in the world. He has shown really good things over the last four weeks, particularly dating back to his top 5 finish at Augusta. But this is going to be the week that is a get-right week. Get him ready for the U.S. Open. Colin Morikawa to win the Memorial. If you remember, I believe Colin, he either won here or he edged out Justin Thomas in 2020. I don't remember if he won at this golf course in 2020. I don't think he did.
Justin Thomas won because he made like a 50-foot bomb on 18. He went bonkers.
I'm trying to remember what this.
I'll bet you $20 it was Justin Thomas.
And all right, actually, I'm sorry. So he didn't win the Memorial. That was JT. But the week prior, they played at Murfield Village. So they played back-to-back during that COVID year, and it was the Workday Charity Open, and he beat Justin Thomas in the playoffs. That was what it was.
Oh, okay.
So edged him there in the playoff, and only for JT to win the following week, which just, again, makes total sense. Both were playing absolutely inspiring golf. Actually, I'm sorry, Rahm won in 2020. He finished second. So that is where that's where I'm getting my info from. But I think Colin Morikawa is a great pick this week. Really solid play. I think he's like 7th on the odds board. There's no reason to take Scotty Scheffler at this point. There's a lot better options as we get ready for the U.S. Open. And again, a week where a really good showing at Jack's place can push you in to a course like Pinehurst and really get you on the right foot, particularly at a course like number 2. I love Colin this week. Ben, is there any final notes here before we get going?
I don't have anything else to say. It was a pretty quick and easy episode. Golf companies, functionality is what's important, not style and swag. Okay? I know my voice doesn't really matter. Not yet anyway, and that's okay. But functionality is king. Other than that, that's really all I have to say. Congratulations to Bobby MacIntyre on a job well done up in Canada. And we're right in the middle of major season, man. It's really exciting stuff. Great golf has been played all year. The stars are coming out finally. You know, they're really starting to kind of put it together. Hovland has been showing signs. Rory playing very much better recently. So it's going to be and then Scotty is still by far and away the best player in the world. What a surprise. Not really. Yeah, it's going to be a great week this week out in Ohio.
We're finally on the decline of the peak of golf season, but we're still in the heart of major season. Again, once the Travelers ends, it's the 3M. It's a lot of the lower scale events, the secondary events as we lead up to the Open, and then we get right to the playoffs. But a lot's going on. Also, to give you a final update, and I'm sure he'll get an exemption this week to try and continue the streak. But Adam Scott loses to Cam Davis in the playoff. Will miss his 23-year streak, a 3-hole playoff. Adam Scott could still end up being an alternate though for the U.S. Open, which I think might happen. The last time Adam Scott missed a major was the 2001 U.S. Open. He's played 91 events in a row until now.
That's insane.
I hope the Memorial gives Adam Scott a sponsor exemption just to give him the off chance to win the event and play his way in the year's over. That would be absolutely crazy. Folks, that's been Getting the Hole episode number 157 for Steve McAvoy. I'm Ben Pirro. Thank you guys for. Well, hold on. Did I just say I'm Ben Pirro?
Yeah, you did. You said for Stephen McAvoy, I'm
I
Ben
had
Pirro. You are
a
not
half
Ben
moment.
Pirro.
Fuck. All right. Well, now we have to fucking clip that. Oh my god. Oh no. Oh no. Thank you guys for tuning in. For Ben Pirro, I'm Steve McAvoy. Oh my god. Episode 157 of the Getting the Hole podcast. The longest Monday on the PGA Tour calendar. Be sure to like, subscribe, follow us on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok at Get in the Hole Pod. And of course, follow along on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. On the YouTube at Underground Sports PHI or Underground Sports Philadelphia. Be sure to follow us, get us those views, and get us all your thoughts on the golf world. Leave comments in our episodes to get us more content to go. Once again, for Ben Pirro, I'm Steve McAvoy. We'll see you.
Thanks for listening to Get in the Hole, the official golf podcast of Underground Sports Philadelphia. Catch us every week wherever you get your favorite podcasts, and be sure to like and subscribe on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube. You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Get in the Hole Pod, and follow Underground Sports Philadelphia at Underground PHI. We'll see you next time. And remember, get in the hole!